All right, welcome back. We're going to really quickly just talk about discretionary budgets and non discretionary budgets. Remember, we had discretionary spending and non discretionary spending, or budgets if you want to call them that. And I told you we would talk a little bit about that in a previous video. And I just want you to see where your tax dollars go. This is 2015 discretionary spending. So this means this was the money after about the $3+ trillion came in from tax revenues. Congress had to decide, what do we do? Well, 2/3 of that $3 trillion was gone, right? It went to go pay for a bunch of other things, and I told you that, right? We had about $1.1 trillion in 2015 left, and this is what we spent it on. We spent it on military, and that's our largest discretionary spending expenditure is military spending. It is not the number one government spending, right? It's not the number one expenditure, right? That we'll look at when we get to the non-discretionary spending, and that's going to be Social Security and Medicare. But you can see all of these other things. And what I always laugh about is the things that politicians cut. And they cut them because they're safe to cut, right? You can't cut military. If you cut military, you're going to be called, you hate the troops and blah, 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 But, people will make cuts to education, health, housing, international affairs, energy, environment, science, right? These things, transportation, food and agricultural regulation, right? They demonize those things and they cut them. And everybody's like, yeah, we're cutting government. When you really look at the budgets for those, we're talking drops in a very, very large bucket of money. You could get rid of all of these things on the left here, really. You could get rid of all of them. And it would do nothing to help you pay down the $22 trillion worth of deficit, debt that we hold. In fact, we spend more money paying off interest on our debt than we do for most of these programs. So when you really start to look at budgets, you really start to understand that cutting government, while it sounds good, really, it's a start, but I don't think we really understand how much money we're spending on the three main things, right? And I'll show you that. One of them, number 3, military. Here's President Trump's budget request for 2019. As you can see, military spending went up. All right, you can see food and agriculture and those types of things basically stayed the same. I haven't really looked at that. I don't know. Education's at 5%. Looks about, that went down. Medicare and health, et cetera, went down, right? So they just stole it from the other places and throw it in military, right? Here is the non-discretionary budget. And now you can start to see, whoa, Social Security, holy crap, $1.2 trillion, 49% of the non-discretionary budget, right? Crazy, right? And then Medicare is 38%, right? And then we'll look at them all together, okay? So here it is, the total federal spending. This was 2015. I know that's a few years ago. But you can see there, 33% of our budget is Social Security, 27% Medicare and health, and 16% is military. Interest on debt, 6%. Right? And then you start to see international affairs. Well, let's get rid of all of that, right? $50 billion. It would do nothing. It would do nothing. Nothing. Energy and environment, you cut housing and community. You cut those budgets, you would not affect anything. Really, right? It would be nothing. It wouldn't decrease our debt by anything or help us pay it off or help us run a surplus. And this is why figuring out what to do with Social Security, Medicare, and military are so important. And don't say, well, get rid of them and cut them. Well, that's not an option either, because in economics, right, remember, you're going to have to think about, well, what would the cost be? It's costing us $1.2 trillion now, but if we cut it and got rid of it, what would it cost society if we didn't have those things? What would happen to those people, right? So it's more complicated than that, all right? And then here in 2018, here's where your tax dollars went. And you can pause that and take a look at it if you want. And if you are interested, you like to read, I'm going to give you this book, Red Ink. I won't give it to you, but I'll give it to you as a recommendation. It's pretty cheap. I think you can get it on Amazon for under $10. I think. I'm pretty sure. I think I spent under $10 on it. I read it in a weekend. And I'm not a fast reader. In fact, I reread a lot of stuff because I was very interested in it. And he does a very good job of keeping it lively. I know it's budgets, but keeping it lively and talking about the economic costs and benefits of, if we buy a $6 billion aircraft carrier, what could we have done with that money instead, right? And it's just a question. You may say, well, I want the aircraft. Well, that's fine. Have the aircraft carrier. But in economics, of course, we always talk about what could you have had, though. You always need to talk about what you could have had, right? So, good book. Until next time.